It all started with what was supposed to be a quiet night at Jim Jones' family home, but instead, it turned into one of the most explosive meltdowns the Jones family has ever seen. Cameras weren't even rolling when things spiraled out of control between Jim, Chrissy, and Mama Jones, but word of what happened spread like wildfire. Sources close to the family say the shouting could be heard from the street. Neighbors reportedly called to check if everything was all right. But by then, the situation had already gone far beyond that point. The tension between Jim and his mother had always been a ticking time bomb. But this time, Chrissy became the spark that set it off. And when Jim lost his temper, fans say it wasn't just a small argument, it was an all-out emotional breakdown that left everyone stunned. It began earlier that evening when Mama Jones showed up unexpectedly at Jim's place. She was already upset, claiming Chrissy had disrespected her during a phone call days earlier. According to those who were there, she stormed in demanding answers, pacing the living room, waving her phone in the air, shouting, "You think you can talk to me any kind of way? Chrissy, not today." Chrissy, trying to stay calm, reportedly told her, "I didn't disrespect you, Mama Jones, but I'm not gonna let you keep talking to me like I'm a child." That's when Jim, who had been sitting quietly on the couch, tried to intervene, but instead of cooling things down, his presence only made it worse. His mother turned her anger toward him, yelling, "You always take her side. You forgot who raised you." Witnesses say Jim stood up, face tight with frustration, telling his mother to chill out before things go too far. But the words only added fuel to the fire. Chrissy, in tears, said she was tired of always being blamed for their family problems. "You act like I'm the reason y'all don't get along," she cried, "but I've been the one holding this family together." The energy in the room shifted instantly. Mama Jones laughed bitterly and clapped back, "Holding this family together? Girl, please. You've been pulling my son away from me since day one." That was the breaking point. Jim slammed his hand against the wall, shouting, "Enough." His voice echoed through the house, sending chills down everyone's spine. But what came next shocked even the closest people to the family. Sources claim Jim stepped toward Chrissy, his anger visible, his tone fierce, his emotions boiling over from years of buried resentment. Friends later described the scene as raw and terrifying, saying that Jim looked like a man who had finally snapped under pressure. The shouting turned into chaos, and by the time family friends arrived, Chrissy was in tears. Mama Jones was yelling for everyone to leave, and Jim was pacing the floor, shaking his head in disbelief at what he had just done. Fans who heard about the incident online couldn't believe it. Was this the end for Jim and Chrissy? Or was it another one of their explosive love story moments that always seemed to bring them right to the edge before pulling them back? Whatever happened behind those closed doors that night, one thing is certain, this wasn't just a family argument. It was a full-blown emotional storm that left their world turned upside down. And as new details continue to emerge, the public can't stop asking, how far did Jim Jones really go when the fight with Mama Jones pushed him past his breaking point? The tension that night didn't come out of nowhere, it had been brewing for months. Those close to Jim Jones and Chrissy say their relationship had already been under pressure. Between family loyalty, long-standing resentment, and the constant public spotlight, things had reached a breaking point long before Mama Jones showed up at their door. Friends say Jim had been trying to keep the peace, juggling his mother's fiery personality and Chrissy's frustration at always being blamed for everything that went wrong. But deep down, everyone could tell that something was about to give. When Mama Jones arrived that night, it wasn't just another argument, it was a collision of years of hurt, jealousy, and pride. The air in the house was thick. Chrissy had been cooking dinner, trying to create some sense of normalcy after weeks of silent tension. When she heard the front door open hard enough to rattle the frame, Mama Jones came in without even knocking, her voice already raised. "Where's my son?" she demanded, her tone sharp and full of challenge. Chrissy wiped her hands on a towel, turned around, and said quietly, "He's in the studio." But Mama Jones wasn't looking for information, she was looking for a fight. "Don't play nice now," she said, stepping closer. "You've been talking slick about me again, haven't you?" Chrissy froze for a second, trying to keep her composure. "No one's talking about you," she replied, her voice calm but trembling slightly. "You heard something that wasn't true." Within moments, Jim came out from the back room, confused by the shouting. He saw his mother standing in the middle of the living room, glaring at Chrissy, and immediately knew this was about to spiral. "Ma, chill," he said, raising his hands. "We're not doing this again." But his mother wasn't listening. "She disrespected me," she snapped. "And you let her do it." Chrissy sighed. "I didn't disrespect you, Mama Jones. I just said you can't keep calling me out in front of people." That's not okay. Mama Jones turned sharply toward her son, her eyes flashing. You hear her? She thinks she can tell me what's okay. Your mama. Jim rubbed his forehead, trying to calm them both down, but his silence was taken as betrayal by both women. Chrissy looked hurt that he wasn't defending her, while Mama Jones saw it as proof that Chrissy controlled him. See, Mama Jones said, her voice rising. She got you weak. You used to be a man of your own, now you scared to speak if she don't let you. Jim's jaw clenched. Stop it, he said quietly. You're my mother, but this has to stop. But Mama Jones wasn't done. She moved closer to Chrissy, pointing her finger. You turned him against me, she hissed. You made my son forget who he is. Chrissy took a step back, her eyes welling up. I've never tried to come between you two, she said, her voice cracking. But I won't keep letting you treat me like an enemy. The room fell silent for a moment, just heavy breathing and the sound of the clock ticking. Then, Jim exploded. I said stop, he shouted, slamming his hand on the counter so hard that it echoed through the house. Everyone froze. His face was red, his eyes dark. This is my house, he said, his voice trembling with anger. And I can't keep living like this. I can't keep choosing between the two people I love. Mama Jones crossed her arms, unmoved. Then choose, she said coldly. Choose right now, because I'm tired of watching this woman tear my family apart. Chrissy turned away, tears rolling down her face. I can't do this anymore, she whispered. Every time we try to move forward, it's the same fight. I'm tired of proving myself. Jim's breathing grew heavier. He walked toward his mother, his voice lower but shaking with emotion. Ma, you gotta understand Chrissy's not the enemy. You're my mother, and I love you, but this constant drama is breaking me apart. Mama Jones scoffed, shaking her head. Don't tell me about drama, boy. I raised you through worse than this. I fought for you when nobody else did. And now you telling me she's more important? Jim looked down, the pain written all over his face. It's not about who's more important, he said softly. It's about peace. I just want peace. But peace was the last thing they were going to get that night. Chrissy tried to walk past Mama Jones to go upstairs, but Mama Jones stepped in front of her. You don't walk away from me while I'm talking to you, she snapped. You respect me when I'm in this house. Chrissy turned slowly, her tears now replaced with frustration. Respect goes both ways, she said firmly. I've been nothing but patient, but I'm done walking on eggshells around you. The words hit hard. Mama Jones leaned closer, almost whispering, you'll never be part of this family the way you think. Jim stepped between them, his hands out. Enough, both of you. But the tension was beyond control now. Mama Jones kept yelling, Chrissy kept defending herself, and Jim's voice grew louder until it cracked. Stop fighting, he roared, his voice breaking with pain. You're both killing me with this. The sudden silence that followed was almost unbearable. Mama Jones's expression softened for a moment as she saw her son's face, the tears in his eyes. Chrissy stood frozen, clutching her phone like a lifeline. Jim, she said quietly, I didn't want this. He didn't answer. He just sat down on the couch, covering his face with his hands, whispering to himself. Mama Jones muttered under her breath, see what you did. Chrissy turned toward her, furious. What I did? You came here to start this. The argument flared again, but Jim jumped up, his voice thunderous. That's it. Both of you, get out. They both stared at him in disbelief. Chrissy's face fell. You're kicking me out? She asked softly. No, he said, shaking his head. I'm kicking this energy out. I can't breathe in my own house anymore. His words hung heavy in the air. Mama Jones picked up her purse, glaring at Chrissy one last time before heading for the door. You'll see, she said bitterly. You'll see who really loves you when she's gone. The door slammed, and silence filled the house again. Chrissy stood there, shaking. Jim, she whispered, why does she hate me so much? Jim didn't look up. It's not hate, he said quietly. It's fear. She hates me so much. Jim didn't look up. It's not hate, he said quietly. It's fear. She's scared I'll stop needing her. Chrissy stepped closer, placing her hand on his shoulder. But she's going to destroy us if this keeps happening. Jim finally looked up, his eyes red. I know, he said, voice breaking, and I don't know how to fix it anymore. Hours later, when the house was quiet again, Jim sat alone in the dark, scrolling through his phone, ignoring the dozens of messages from his mother. She had posted something vague online, something fans quickly picked up on. Funny how people forget who had their back before the fame, she wrote. Within minutes, it went viral. The comments section exploded with speculation. Fans began taking sides, some defending Mama Jones, saying she had every right to protect her son, while others accused her of being toxic and controlling. Chrissy stayed silent, but those close to her said she spent the night crying in the guest room, unable to sleep. By morning, gossip blogs were already buzzing. Family feud erupts between Jim Jones, Chrissy, and Mama Jones. Fight turns emotional. Videos surfaced claiming to have inside audio of the shouting match. Fans were shocked, asking what could have possibly pushed them this far. Some even speculated the couple had broken up again. Jim ignored the headlines, but deep down, he knew the damage was done. Something had shifted that night, something that couldn't easily be undone. And yet, even as the world started picking apart their private pain, no one outside that house knew the full truths, that the shouting, the tears, and the slammed doors were just the beginning of something even darker waiting to surface. The next morning, the silence in the house felt like a wound that refused to close. Chrissy sat at the kitchen table, her coffee untouched, staring at her phone. Every few minutes, it buzzed with notifications, blogs, fan pages, and comment threads dissecting every rumor about what happened the night before. She could feel the world closing in, and the more she scrolled, the heavier her chest became. Jim walked in quietly, his face pale, his eyes hollow from lack of sleep. He didn't say a word at first. He just stood there, watching her, knowing exactly what she was reading. "Don't look at that stuff," he said finally, his voice rough. Chrissy didn't respond. She just turned her phone off and placed it face down on the table. "How am I supposed to ignore it?" she asked softly. "Your mom's post is everywhere. She's making it sound like I'm the one tearing your family apart." Jim sighed and rubbed his face. "She's just mad." She calmed down. Chrissy gave a faint, bitter laugh. "She never calms down, Jim. She's been doing this for years. Every time we take one step forward, she drags us 10 steps back." Jim leaned against the counter, his hands in his pockets. "I know, but what do you want me to do? She's my mom." Chrissy looked up at him, her voice trembling. "And I'm the woman who's been standing beside you for over a decade. When do I get to matter as much as she does?" Her words cut deep. Jim didn't answer right away. He just looked down, the weight of her question pressing against his chest. The phone rang suddenly, making them both jump. Jim glanced at the screen. It was Mama Jones. Chrissy's eyes widened. "Don't answer it," she said quickly. Jim hesitated, then picked it up anyway. "Ma." His voice was cautious. On the other end, Mama Jones was already fired up. "So that's how you treat your mother now? Throwing me out like some stranger?" Jim closed his eyes. "Ma, please. I don't want to fight. You think I'm gonna let that woman disrespect me in my own son's house?" she snapped. "You better remember who had your back when you didn't have a dime." Chrissy could hear her voice through the phone. She stood up, shaking her head, whispering, "This is never gonna stop." Jim turned away, trying to calm his mother down, but the conversation quickly spiraled. "She's not good for you, Jimmy," Mama Jones said sharply. "She got you acting like you don't even know your family anymore. You think she loves you like I do. She don't." Jim's patience cracked. "Ma, stop. You keep saying that, but you don't even try to understand her. She's not against you." Mama Jones laughed bitterly. "Boy, you so blind, you can't even see who's really in control." Jim hung up mid-sentence and threw his phone on the couch, his breathing heavy. Chrissy crossed her arms. "You shouldn't have answered," she said quietly. "It just makes things worse." Jim shot her a look, his frustration boiling over. "What was I supposed to do? Ignore my mother forever?" Chrissy stared at him. "No, but you could have at least set boundaries." He stepped closer, his voice rising. "Don't tell me how to deal with my mother, Chrissy." The words came out harsher than he meant. Chrissy's expression changed from hurt to anger. "So now I can't even talk about it," she said, her voice shaking. "After everything that woman said about me, I'm just supposed to stay quiet." The argument escalated fast. Years of tension, jealousy, and resentment came pouring out in every sentence. "You think it's easy being stuck in the middle of this?" Jim shouted. "Every time y'all fight, I'm the one who gets blamed." Chrissy fired back. "Because you never pick a side, Jim. You just let her walk all over me, and then you wonder why nothing changes." "You want me to choose between my mother and you?" he asked, his voice low but dangerous. "Because if that's what you're saying, that's not fair." Chrissy's eyes filled with tears. "I'm saying I want you to stand up for us. I want you to protect what we've built, not let her tear it apart." Jim turned away, his hands on his head, pacing across the kitchen. The sound of the clock ticking felt louder than ever. "You don't get it," he muttered. "I've been trying to hold this family together for so long, and all it does is make things worse." Chrissy stepped forward, placing a hand on his arm. "Then maybe it's time to stop trying to make everyone happy," she whispered. "Maybe it's time to choose peace instead." For a moment, Jim's anger faded. He looked at her, really looked at her, and saw how tired she was, how much this constant battle had drained her. He wanted to say something comforting, but before he could, his phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't his mother. It was a friend sending a screenshot of a new post. Mama Jones had uploaded another video, an emotional rant where she accused Chrissy of turning her son against his blood. The videos spread across social media within minutes, fans flooding the comments with mixed reactions. Chrissy saw the clip and covered her mouth, her voice breaking. She's really doing this online now. Jim watched in silence, his anger shifting to disbelief. She's gone too far, he said finally. She's really gone too far. Chrissy's tears turned to anger. Then stop her, Jim. Please do something before this destroys everything. But Jim just stared at the screen, frozen between rage and guilt. The calls started coming in, producers, bloggers, old friends, all asking for a comment. Chrissy went upstairs, locking herself in the bedroom, sobbing into her pillow. Jim stayed downstairs, pacing, ignoring the constant buzz of his phone. He wanted to protect them both, but every choice felt wrong. He picked up his phone and finally typed a short message to his mother. Please stop posting. We'll talk later. She didn't respond. Instead, minutes later, another post appeared, this time aimed directly at him. Some people forget the hands that fed them. I'm done protecting ungrateful children. The internet exploded again. Fans took screenshots, bloggers speculated, and the family's name began trending. Even old love and hip-hop clips resurfaced, with fans analyzing every moment between Chrissy and Mama Jones for clues. People started posting memes, choosing sides, and making hashtag Team Chrissy and hashtag Team Mama Jones started circulating across platforms. Some fans begged Jim to step in and stop the feud, while others said the drama was exactly what they expected from the Jones family. By late afternoon, Chrissy packed a small bag. When Jim saw her walking down the stairs, his stomach dropped. Where are you going? He asked. I need space, she said quietly. I can't be in this house right now. Not while she's doing this. Not while you're still defending her. I'm not defending her, he said quickly. I'm just trying to figure things out. Chrissy shook her head. You've been trying to figure it out for 10 years, Jim. I can't keep living like this. He moved toward her, reaching for her hand, but she pulled away. Chrissy, please, he said, his voice breaking. Don't leave like this. She hesitated at the door. Then prove you're ready to choose peace, she said softly. Until then, I'm done fighting a war I never started. And with that, she walked out. The sound of the door closing felt final. Jim stood there in silence, staring at the empty hallway, his chest tight. He sat down on the stairs, his mind spinning. Outside, the flashing cameras of paparazzi had already gathered. They shouted questions through the gate, their voices overlapping. Jim, did you and Chrissy split? How's your mom after the fight? Any truth to the rumors? He didn't answer. He just buried his face in his hands. That night, he poured himself a drink and sat alone, replaying every moment in his head, the shouting, the tears, the slammed door, the way his mother's words echoed louder than anything Chrissy had ever said. He opened his phone again, scrolling through messages, hoping for one from Chrissy. Instead, he found another notification. A live stream. Mama Jones was online again, talking about toxic women who try to destroy families. Her followers flooded the chat with hearts and support, calling her a strong woman who keeps it real. Jim threw his phone across the room, shattering it against the wall. This is out of control, he muttered to himself. But the truth was, control had already slipped away. What started as a private argument had turned into a public war, and everyone was watching. And as much as he tried to block it out, one question kept haunting him. How did his love for two women who meant everything to him turn into the very thing that might destroy them all? Later that night, the world outside the Jones household was wide awake. Social media had turned their private chaos into the biggest story of the week. Every gossip page, every reality blog, every Twitter space was dissecting the drama in real time. The words Jim Jones and Chrissy were trending everywhere, with fans arguing about who was really to blame. Some said Mama Jones was just being protective. Others claimed Chrissy had endured enough and deserved peace. But no one really knew what was happening behind the scenes, only that something inside Jim had finally snapped. He spent the next morning sitting in his car outside Chrissy's friend's apartment, where she'd gone the night before. He hadn't called or texted her since she left. He just sat there, replaying every moment of the fight, trying to figure out how it all spiraled so far. When he finally worked up the courage, he dialed her number. It rang once, twice, then went to voicemail. Chrissy, he said quietly, his voice low and rough. I didn't mean for things to go that way. I never wanted to hurt you. I just need to see you. Please. He ended the call, staring out the windshield. Back home, his mother had other plans. Mama Jones was already recording another video, sitting on her couch, wearing sunglasses, and speaking straight into the camera. Let me tell y'all something, she began, her tone sharp. I don't care what nobody says. Raised my son to respect his family. If people don't like that, they can keep scrolling. I don't bite my tongue for nobody. She didn't name Chrissy directly, but everyone knew who she was talking about. Her followers filled the comments with fire emojis and messages like "Tell them, Mama, and you always been real." The clip spread fast. When Jim saw it, his anger boiled. He called his mother immediately. "Ma, what are you doing?" he shouted the moment she picked up. "You can't keep posting stuff like that. It's making everything worse." Mama Jones didn't sound apologetic at all. "I'm just speaking my truth," she said flatly. "If the shoe fits, let her wear it." "You're ruining my life," Jim said, his voice trembling with frustration. "Do you understand that? You're making the world think I can't control my own family." She laughed bitterly. "Control? Boy, you ain't controlled nothing since she came into your life." Jim's hand tightened around the phone. "Ma, stop," he said through clenched teeth. "You're gonna push me too far." "You already gone too far," she shot back. "Throwing me out your house, talking to me like I'm one of your fans. Who do you think you are?" "I'm your son," he snapped. "But I'm also a man. And I'm tired of this." There was silence on the line. Then Mama Jones said coldly, "You better remember who you talking to," before hanging up. Jim sat there in silence, staring at the phone. He felt like his entire world was slipping away. His mother, his partner, his peace. Everything was falling apart. He poured himself another drink, then grabbed his keys and left the house. He didn't know where he was going, only that he needed to breathe. He drove aimlessly for hours, the city lights blurring past him. His mind was loud to loud. Memories flashed in and out. Mama Jones cheering at his first concert. Chrissy crying after their first big argument. The love, the fights, the endless cycle that kept repeating. He thought about calling Chrissy again, but something stopped him. He didn't want to sound desperate. He wanted to sound in control. Yet, deep down, he knew he had already lost control of everything that mattered. Around midnight, his phone buzzed with a notification. It was a message from an old friend. "Bro, you need to check TMZ right now." His stomach dropped. He opened the link, and there it was, a video clip of him yelling during last night's fight, recorded from outside the house. Someone had filmed the argument through a window. The headline read, "Jim Jones explodes at Chrissy and Mama Jones in shocking late-night meltdown." The video had over 1 million views in less than 2 hours. Jim's hands started shaking. "No, no, no," he muttered, throwing his phone onto the passenger seat. He drove straight to Chrissy's friend's place and knocked on the door. When Chrissy opened it, she looked exhausted, her eyes swollen, her voice soft. "Jim, what are you doing here?" she asked. "We're everywhere," he said quietly. "Someone recorded us. It's all over the internet." She frowned, stepping aside to let him in. "You mean the fight?" He nodded. "They caught everything. The yelling, the part where I slammed the wall, even you crying." Chrissy covered her face with her hands. "Oh my God." They sat in silence for a few moments, both overwhelmed. Then Chrissy spoke, her tone low but firm. "This is exactly what I've been afraid of, Jim. It's not just us anymore. It's the whole world watching, judging, making it worse." He nodded slowly. "I know. And I'm sorry. I just don't know how to fix it." "You can start by setting boundaries," she said. "You have to make her stop, or this will never end." Jim leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "I can't just cut her off. Chrissy, she's my mom. She raised me when nobody else was there." Chrissy looked at him, her voice softening. "I know that, and I love that about you. But if she really loved you, she wouldn't want to see you like this." He looked at her for a long moment, his eyes glassy. "So, what do I do?" she whispered. "You choose peace, even if it means choosing distance." The next morning, Jim did something no one expected. He went live on Instagram. The moment he appeared on screen, thousands of viewers flooded in. His face was tired, his tone serious. "Listen," he began, "a lot of y'all been talking, speculating, making jokes. But this ain't funny. This is my family. Yeah, we argue. Yeah, we hurt each other. But that's real life. I'm not here to air nobody out. I just need some space to figure this out." Fans were stunned. The comments blew up instantly, some praising his maturity, others accusing him of trying to save face. Mama Jones joined the live from her own account, typing in the chat, "Stop lying to these people. The message popped up for everyone to see. The viewers went wild. Jim froze for a moment, visibly caught off guard, then ended the live abruptly. By afternoon, screenshots of that comment were everywhere. Mama Jones calls out Jim on his own live. Headlines screamed. The internet had turned their family's pain into entertainment. Chrissy begged him to ignore it, but Jim couldn't. He called his mother again, his voice shaking with fury. "Why would you do that? Why would you embarrass me in front of millions of people?" Mama Jones laughed. "Embarrass you? Boy, you embarrassed yourself. I'm just telling the truth." "You're ruining me," he shouted. "You're ruining us?" Their argument ended with him hanging up, throwing his phone again, and punching the wall so hard his knuckles bled. Chrissy ran over to him, crying, "Stop, Jim, please. This isn't you." He looked at her, breathing hard. "I don't even know who I am anymore," he said. "Every day it's a war between the woman who gave me life and the woman who's supposed to share it with me." That night, Chrissy stayed with him. They didn't talk much. She cleaned his hand, wrapped it gently, and sat beside him in silence. Outside, the cameras were still flashing. Inside, their love felt like it was hanging by a thread. Neither of them said it out loud, but both knew the truth. Something had to change. Because if it didn't, the next explosion might not just destroy their family's image, it might destroy them completely. Chrissy's voice cracked as she shouted across the living room, her eyes red and swollen from hours of crying. Jim stood near the door, his jaw clenched, pacing back and forth like a storm ready to explode. Mama Jones was upstairs still yelling, her voice muffled but fierce, throwing out words like ungrateful and disrespectful. The whole house felt like it was holding its breath. The cameras had already been told to stop filming, but nobody did. Everyone knew this was the kind of chaos that people couldn't look away from. Chrissy's hand trembled as she pointed at Jim. "You think this is love? This, after all these years, after everything I've done for your family, you let her treat me like trash and you just stand there?" Jim's voice boomed back. "Don't start with that, Chrissy. You know how my moms get when she feels cornered. You didn't have to talk to her like that." She laughed bitterly, shaking her head. "Talk to her like what, Jim? With boundaries, with some. I'm not gonna let your mama keep disrespecting me in my own home." Mama Jones stomped halfway down the stairs, her gold bangles clinking as she pointed a finger at Chrissy. "Your home? This ain't your home. This is my son's house. And you lucky I even tolerate you here." The tension snapped. Jim rushed forward, trying to block the two women as Chrissy stepped closer, tears streaming but her tone sharp as a knife. "I built this house with him. I was here when nobody believed in you, Jim. Not her, not your so-called family, me. And now I'm the outsider." Mama Jones threw her hands up, scoffing. "Please, you've been trying to take my son away from me since day one. I see right through you, Chrissy. You jealous of the bond we got, and that's why you always start drama." Chrissy's breath hitched, her chest rising and falling fast. She turned toward Jim, waiting for him to defend her, but he didn't. He just stood there, silent. The silence said everything. Chrissy wiped her tears and whispered, "You really gone? Let her do this?" He didn't answer. Instead, he ran his hand down his face and muttered, "I just need some air." And with that, he walked out, leaving Chrissy standing there, shattered. Mama Jones followed him to the door, still talking under her breath. And when the door slammed behind him, Chrissy screamed a guttural sound of heartbreak that echoed through the walls. The next morning, clips from the argument leaked online. Somehow, someone from the crew had sent the footage to a gossip page, and it spread like wildfire. Fans were stunned. Comments flooded in, some taking Chrissy's side, others defending Mama Jones. But everyone agreed on one thing. The Jones family had officially fallen apart. Jim didn't come home that night. Instead, he was spotted with his friends at a lounge in Harlem, looking angry and distant. Someone caught a video of him on their phone, slamming his glass on the table and saying, "Man, I'm done with all this drama." That clip hit the blogs within hours, and suddenly, the internet was spinning theories. Some said Jim had finally snapped. Others claimed he'd broken up with Chrissy for good. The rumors got so wild that even old Love and Hip Hop cast members started weighing in. One of Chrissy's friends, Tasha, posted a cryptic story saying, "Sometimes love ain't enough when his mama's your biggest hater." That story alone caused a frenzy. People began tagging Jim and Mama Jones, demanding answers. Mama Jones, never one to stay quiet, went live later that night, sitting in her living room, her energy calm but defiant. "Let me tell y'all something," she said, adjusting her glasses. "Ain't nobody gonna disrespect me in my son's house. I raised him by myself. I sacrificed for that boy. So if somebody can't handle how I talk, they can leave. Simple as that." Chrissy, watching that live in silence, took a deep breath and then picked up her phone. She went live, too, but this time her tone was different, hurt, but composed. "I don't want no beef," she said, "but I'm not gonna keep pretending everything's fine. I've been loyal to that man and his family for over 20 years, and I deserve respect. If standing up for myself makes me the bad guy, then fine. I'll be the bad guy." The comments were flooded with messages of support. Fans begged Jim to step in, to fix things before it was too late, but Jim stayed silent. 2 days later, paparazzi caught him outside a recording studio, looking worn out. A reporter shouted, "Jim, are you and Chrissy done?" He didn't answer, just pulled his hoodie over his head and kept walking. But someone who was there claimed they overheard him say to a friend, "She crossed a line this time." Those 6 words became headlines everywhere. The media twisted them into stories of physical fights, breakups, and betrayal. And though nothing had been confirmed, the image was clear: Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin were standing on opposite sides of a war they never thought they'd fight. Behind closed doors, Chrissy sat in the dark, staring at old pictures of them together, her heart breaking. She whispered to herself, "How did we get here?" Her phone buzzed again, another notification, another rumor. But this one hit different. It claimed Jim's mother had moved back in with him, and Chrissy was officially out. She didn't know if it was true, but the pain of reading it made her feel like she'd lost everything. What none of them knew, though, was that the situation was about to take a turn that would drag the entire family into chaos none of them could control. 2 nights later, the calm broke again. Jim showed up at Chrissy's apartment, unannounced, just after midnight. His knock wasn't gentle, it was hard and fast, echoing through the hallway until Chrissy opened the door. She froze when she saw him. His eyes were red, his voice low but trembling with rage. "You've been talking too much," he said. "You had the whole internet thinking I put my hands on you." Chrissy stepped back, stunned. "What are you talking about? I never said that, Jim. I told the truth. You left, and your mama went live dragging me." Jim stepped inside, pacing the room. Nah, you knew what you was doing. You went live right after her. You had people in your comments calling my mother crazy, calling me weak. That's what you wanted." Chrissy's frustration spilled over. "No, Jim, what I wanted was peace, but you keep letting her disrespect me. I can't keep fighting to people when the one I love won't even stand up for me." Her voice cracked, but Jim wasn't listening. He slammed his hand against the wall, startling her. "You don't get it, do you? That's my mother. You think I'm supposed to just sit back while you talk slick about her?" "Slick?" Chrissy shouted back. "I've been patient for years. I've let her call me every name in the book. I've walked away from arguments. I've tried, Jim, but she hates me for existing, and you keep acting like I'm the problem." Jim's breathing was heavy. For a moment, it looked like he wanted to respond, but instead, he sat on the couch, running his hands through his hair. The room was thick with silence. Chrissy stood across from him, trembling, torn between anger and heartbreak. "You know what hurts," she said quietly. "I stayed with you through everything. The fame, the cheating rumors, the long nights you didn't come home. I stayed because I believed in us. But every time she attacks me, I lose a piece of myself trying to prove I'm worth your loyalty." Jim didn't lift his head. "Chrissy, I never told you to fight my moms. You didn't have to," she said, her voice breaking. "You just stood there every time and watched." Outside, the city buzzed faintly, but inside that apartment, the air was heavy with years of unresolved pain. When Jim finally looked up, his face was wet with sweat and regret. "I'm tired, Chrissy, tired of being in the middle, tired of people making me choose." She wiped her tears. "Then don't choose. Just admit you already did." He looked at her, realizing what she meant, and said nothing. That silence told her everything. A phone buzzed on the table. It was Jim's. He glanced at the screen and frowned. Chrissy caught a glimpse. It was Mama Jones. "She's still calling you at 1 in the morning?" Chrissy asked. He sighed. "She heard I came here. He sighed. "She heard I came here. Probably worried." Chrissy let out a humorless laugh. "Worried? Or checking to make sure you don't forget who you belong to." That hit a nerve. Jim stood up, eyes blazing. "Watch your mouth." Chrissy flinched but didn't back down. "See that right there? You defend her like I'm some stranger. I'm the woman who stood beside you when nobody else did, and she's the woman who gave me life." He snapped. "You'll never understand that." Chrissy took a deep breath, her voice trembling. "And you'll never understand what it's like to love someone who keeps choosing everyone else over you." She turned away, walking toward the door. "Get out, Jim." "Chrissy, no," she said firmly, not looking back. "Get out before I say something I can't take back." He hesitated, then grabbed his jacket and left, slamming the door behind him. Chrissy leaned against the wall, sliding down until she was sitting on the floor, sobbing quietly. Meanwhile, outside, a neighbor had heard the shouting and recorded part of the argument. Within hours, the video hit social media. Once again, the internet erupted. People were dissecting every second, every phrase. One comment read, "Jim's loyalty to Mama Jones will be the end of his relationship." Another said, "Chrissy deserves better. She's been disrespected for too long." Mama Jones saw the video, too, and instead of staying silent, she made another live video. "See what I mean?" she said to the camera, her tone sharp. "That girl stay bringing drama. My son can't even breathe without her turning it into a show. She toxic." Within minutes, Chrissy fired back with a post of her own, writing, "Funny how the loudest people always the most insecure." It was chaos online. Fans began taking sides. Hashtags started trending, hashtag Team Chrissy and hashtag Team Mama Jones. Even celebrities weighed in. One reality star commented, "These two been fighting since 2010. Nothing new, but something was different this time." Jim had disappeared completely. No social media posts. No appearances. Nothing. Insiders claimed he had cut off both women, saying he needed space to find peace. But the truth was, he was spiraling. A close friend later told a blog, "Jim's drinking again. He's hurt. He don't know who to trust right now." By the end of the week, the situation had gone from messy to explosive. An anonymous source leaked text messages between Jim and Chrissy, screenshots of him saying, "You always twist things," and her replying, "You always run." The messages were raw and emotional, showing to people drowning in love and resentment at the same time. And just when it seemed things couldn't get worse, a shocking rumor surfaced that Jim and his mother had confronted Chrissy in public at a family event and things got physical. No one knew if it was true, but fans believed it instantly. Within hours, every major gossip outlet picked up the story. And once again, all eyes were on the Jones family, waiting for the next move in a saga that had officially gone too far. The next morning, the city woke up buzzing with the latest Jones family headlines. Headlines screamed about the alleged public confrontation, with wild claims of Jim Jones throws Chrissy out of family event and Mama Jones storms Chrissy in shocking clash. Fans were divided, some praising Jim for staying loyal to his roots, while others criticized him for letting his mom ruin his relationship. Chrissy, meanwhile, stayed off social media, retreating into the silence of her apartment. She didn't want to feed the fire, but the fire was already raging without her input. Inside Jim's house, Mama Jones was pacing the floor, talking on speakerphone with one of her longtime friends. "She thinks she can just come into my house and act like she runs things," she said, shaking her head. "I raised that boy. I've done everything for him. And she thinks her pretty little words can change that. No way." The friend tried to calm her down, but Mama Jones was relentless. "I'm serious, Laura. If she thinks she can disrespect me and get away with it, she got another thing coming. I'm not the villain here. I'm protecting my family." Jim, who had been sitting silently in the corner, finally spoke. "Ma, you gotta stop. It's never gonna end if you keep pushing like this." Mama Jones turned on him, eyes flashing. "Stop. You the one who left me out of decisions, who let her think she's queen in my house. I got rights too, Jimmy." Jim rubbed his temples, exhausted. "I'm done arguing, Ma. I just want peace. Chrissy wants peace. Can't you see that?" She scoffed and hung up, leaving Jim staring at the floor, feeling trapped between the two women he loved. Later that afternoon, Chrissy's phone buzzed. It was a video from a mutual friend who had been at the family event. The footage showed a heated exchange between Jim, Chrissy, and Mama Jones. Voices overlapped, accusations flew, and at one point, Jim's hand had brushed Chrissy's arm in frustration. The comments section on social media exploded immediately. People were taking sides, creating memes, sharing screenshots, and posting theories. The family's name was trending worldwide, and the media was relentless. Chrissy decided she couldn't stay silent anymore. She went live on Instagram, her voice steady despite the tears threatening to fall. "Everyone keeps asking for my side. Here it is," she said, her eyes scanning the camera. "I love Jim, always have, but I can't live like this walking on eggshells because someone refuses to respect me. I've done everything to honor this family, and yet every day, I feel like I'm fighting against them instead of being part of them. I'm not the villain. I'm just a woman trying to be loved." The live ended with thousands of comments pouring in, messages of support, and some critical remarks. Fans debated fiercely, some saying she was finally speaking the truth, others insisting she needed to leave him alone. That evening, Jim finally returned home. The house was quiet, but the tension was palpable. Chrissy had packed a few belongings, sitting quietly in the corner. Jim approached her slowly. "I saw your live," he said, voice low. I didn't know how bad it was for you." She looked at him, her expression a mix of sadness and anger. "It's been like this for years, Jim. Every fight, every post, every live. It's all piled up. And you stand there, thinking love is enough to fix it. It isn't." He sank onto the couch, burying his face in his hands. "I'm sorry, Chrissy. I'm trying. I really am." She walked toward him, placing her hand on his shoulder. "Trying isn't enough. Action is. You have to choose what matters, me or the constant chaos." He looked up, meeting her gaze, and for the first time, really saw her not just as his girlfriend, but as the woman who had held him together when nobody else would. The next week was a whirlwind. Paparazzi followed every move. Blogs reported sightings, text messages were leaked, and social media exploded with new videos of Mama Jones making fiery statements. Chrissy defending herself, and Jim trying to mediate. Friends and insiders weighed in, adding fuel to the fire. One blogger wrote, "This is the most dramatic family meltdown we've seen in years. Fans are glued to every update." The chaos was relentless, leaving the family divided, hearts broken, and the public captivated. Inside the house, a temporary truce formed. Jim suggested family therapy, a neutral space where Mama Jones, Chrissy and he could speak without cameras, without gossip, without judgment. Mama Jones reluctantly agreed, and Chrissy, though hesitant, saw it as the only way to salvage what was left. The sessions were intense. Accusations flew, voices rose, tears fell, and emotions ran high. Jim watched helplessly as the two women he loved battled fiercely, their words cutting deeper than any gossip post could. Through it all, Jim realized something: he had been silent too long, letting his mother's dominance and Chrissy's frustrations fester. He spoke up during the therapy sessions, for the first time asserting his own needs. "I can't live like this anymore," he said, voice shaking but firm. "I love both of you, but I need peace. We need boundaries. Mama, Chrissy, we have to respect each other, or we're going to lose everything." The room went silent. Mama Jones glared at him, but Chrissy's eyes softened. The first step toward healing had begun, but the path ahead was uncertain. And the public eye wasn't going to let them have a moment of calm. As night fell, Jim and Chrissy sat together, exhausted but holding hands. Outside, the city lights glimmered, indifferent to their chaos, but inside, a fragile hope lingered. For the first time in weeks, they felt a sense of unity, but everyone knew this was just the calm before the next storm. The Jones family drama had captured hearts, fueled debates, and left fans questioning what would happen next. The saga was far from over. All right, here's a ready-to-voiceover. Dramatic, fan-engaging call to action for your video, written in lowercase with keywords capitalized for emphasis. Around 1,000 words. You've witnessed the chaos. You've seen the raw emotion. And now you're left with one undeniable truth: this Jones family meltdown is far from over. Emotions ran high, secrets were revealed, and loyalties were tested in ways fans never imagined. Jim Jones and Chrissy have been at the center of a storm fueled not just by their personal conflicts, but by the explosive involvement of Mama Jones herself. The family was left divided, hearts were broken, and the world watched, captivated, as drama unfolded right before our eyes. Now, it's your turn to weigh in. Did Jim make the right choice by confronting Chrissy? Was Mama Jones justified in defending her son, or did she push things too far? And Chrissy, was she right to stand her ground, or did her actions only escalate tensions? Fans are shocked, friends are speechless, and insiders are whispering that what we've seen so far is only the tip of the iceberg. Every angle of this story is debated, dissected, and dramatized online, leaving millions glued to every clip, screenshot, and leaked message. The Jones family drama has taken on a life of its own, and the twists keep coming faster than anyone could anticipate. Now, imagine this: Jim Jones, the man caught between love and loyalty, staring at two women who define his life. On one side, Chrissy, the woman who has stood by him through every hardship, every rumor, and every late-night battle. On the other, Mama Jones, the woman who gave him life, whose influence and guidance have shaped him into the man he is today. The tension between them isn't just family drama, it's a battle for identity, for respect, for peace, and for love. And you, as a fan, get to witness every heart-wrenching moment, every confrontation, every tear, and every raised voice. So here's where you come in. This is your chance to speak, to share, to comment. We want to hear what you think about this shocking Jones family meltdown. Do you believe Jim Jones can ever find a balance between his mother and his partner? Will Chrissy be able to reclaim her peace and her place in his life? Or is this the beginning of a heartbreaking separation? And Mama Jones, will she relent? Or will her determination to protect her family push everyone further apart? Your opinions matter, and fans all over the world are weighing in right now. Every comment, every like, every share helps the story continue, keeps the discussion alive, and fuels the drama that's captivating millions. If you've been following this saga, you know the stakes are higher than ever. Social media is ablaze with theories, reactions, and shocking revelations. Fans are shocked by the latest leaked footage, stunned by the confrontations, and mesmerized by the emotional rollercoaster that unfolds in every interaction. The Jones family has shown us that even the most private conflicts can explode into public spectacles when tempers flare, loyalties collide, and love is tested beyond measure. And right now, you are part of that spectacle. Your voice, your opinion, and your engagement matter. So here's what we want you to do. First, hit that like button if you've been following this drama and want to see every shocking update as it happens. Next, subscribe to the channel so you never miss a beat of the Jones family saga. Trust us, the twists and turns are relentless. And every new clip, every new leak, and every new confrontation will be brought straight to you before anyone else. And don't just stop there, comment below with your thoughts, your theories, and your predictions. Do you think Jim Jones will finally stand up to his mother? Will Chrissy walk away for good? Will Mama Jones ever back down? Your comments aren't just opinions, they're part of the conversation, part of the story, and part of the drama itself. Remember, fans are shocked, emotions ran high, and the family was left divided. But this isn't the end. The saga continues, and your engagement makes it even more intense. When you comment, when you share, when you discuss, you're shaping the narrative. You're helping other fans see perspectives they might have missed. You're fueling debates, supporting Chrissy, questioning Mama Jones, analyzing Jim's every move, and keeping the drama alive. And with the internet watching, every reaction counts. Your voice becomes part of the story that millions of people are following with bated breath. This is more than just family drama, it's a lesson in love, loyalty, and the consequences of letting conflicts spiral out of control. Jim Jones struggled to balance his loyalty to his mother with his commitment to Chrissy is something everyone can relate to on some level. Mama Jones' fierce determination to protect her son while simultaneously challenging his partner resonates with anyone who has ever felt torn between family obligations and personal relationships. And Chrissy's courage to stand her ground, demand respect, and fight for her place in Jim's life is inspiring, heartbreaking, and utterly compelling all at once. So here's your final call: be part of the conversation. Share your opinion, engage with other fans, and let us know exactly what you think should happen next. Do you believe this family will find peace? Or is this meltdown just the beginning of an even more shocking series of events? Every like, comment, and share helps us bring you more insider details, more shocking footage, and more jaw-dropping updates that you won't find anywhere else. You're not just watching, you're part of the story, part of the drama, and part of the ongoing legacy of the Jones family saga. Don't wait. Hit like, subscribe, and comment right now. Tell us who you're rooting for: Team Jim, Team Chrissy, or Team Mama Jones. Weigh in on every argument, every emotional moment, and every shocking twist. The Jones family meltdown has already shocked fans around the world, and this is your chance to have your voice heard. Your engagement ensures you're not just a viewer, you're a participant in a story that's unfolding in real time, with twists, drama, and revelations that will leave you on the edge of your seat. Stay tuned, because the next chapter is coming fast, and when it drops, you'll want to be here, commenting, reacting, and sharing every moment with millions of other fans who are just as invested in this family drama as you are. Don't miss it. Be part of the conversation, be part of the drama, and most importantly, be part of the story. This is your moment to engage, to react, and to make your opinion count in the most shocking, emotional, and sensationalized Jones family saga ever. Remember, like, subscribe, comment. Fans are shocked. Emotions ran high. The family was left divided. Now it's your turn to make your voice heard. Be part of the drama. Be part of the story. And don't miss a single shocking twist that's coming next. The Jones family meltdown is far from over, and you won't want to miss a single second.